All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, end of the month. Man, getting there. We got like 2 weeks before pitchers and catchers report for spring training. So baseball's coming up quick on us already. But I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Jay McLovin. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, it is wonderful. I know we're talking about this amazing Pro Bowl selection of quarterbacks that we're dealing with, huh? What a time to be alive. I mean, seriously, have you seen this craziness? It's insane.
What is it? The quarterbacks?
Yeah, so Tyler Huntley is now a Pro Bowl quarterback. 2 touchdown passes this season. Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, that's another reason the Pro Bowls became such a joke, is because they do it before the Super Bowl, and so anybody that's in the Super Bowl don't participate in it.
You know what's interesting to me is there's actually some good storylines around it. So Derek Carr is also been selected to the Pro Bowl, but yet he don't have a team because they went with Stidham over a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, how is that possible?
I don't know. But a lot of it is because
of the injuries.
Injuries, and because of doing the Pro Bowl stuff before the Super Bowl. I don't know why not do the Pro Bowl stuff like the week or two after the Super Bowl. You might get
That's what I'm thinking. Why would you? Yeah.
Because anybody on the 2 Super Bowl teams, they're not going to participate in the Pro Bowl. So then you have to replace him. So, I mean, half the guys that get selected to the Pro Bowl don't even participate in it. And now it's a flag football game anyway. But
that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, what's the worry about them playing in the football game? It's flag. I mean, granted, you can still have ACLs and plant left or turn left, and so I get that too. But I never thought I'd see the day that the Pro Bowl is now a flag football show. I never thought I'd see the day that would happen. Next thing you know, they're going to be playing baseball with tennis balls instead of baseballs.
Hey, wouldn't surprise me. You'll see a lot more home runs.
Hey, could you imagine that? Oh, my Lord. God forbid. You know, I shouldn't say that too loudly because you never know what can happen in these leagues. I mean, some of the crazy stuff that they're doing, you never know. Honestly, you really just don't.
You might see a 600-foot home run if you with a tennis ball.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I wonder, my mind wanders, is what is the crowd's reaction, or what? Not so much the crowd reaction. Let me rephrase that. What is the TV viewership going to look like with flag football? Like, you got to imagine the Pro Bowl is going to have it. There's going to be a drop. There's got to be a drop in, viewership on that, because who the hell really wants to watch flag football?
Yeah,
honestly,
I don't think it'll drop too. Actually, I think this year it might be higher than what it was last year because it's different. So people are going to tune in to see what it is. But honestly, Jay, nobody really has been watching the Pro Bowl much. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and again, I truly do understand why it is the way it is. I mean, I got to be honest with you. If I'm on a several $100 million contract, I don't know that I necessarily want to go play a game that, pay me, a few $1,000s or whatever. And then what if I get hurt and then I can't, unless you're the Deshaun Watson and your contract is fully guaranteed. I don't know that I necessarily want to take a chance at losing out on the big dollars just because, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I would do that. I think it's good enough just to be selected to it. Okay, great. I can put that on my Hall of Fame resume. But am I really going to want to go play that? No, I think the injury is too great. However, on the flip side of that, the Pro Bowl, I mean, I want to see tackling. I want to see all that crazy stuff. But, if I'm a player I'm gonna put my player hat on and I'm gonna be like, no, I'm good. Hey, look, I'm trying to make this money right now. No, I'm good. Yeah, that would be a bad idea. Meet and greet with the fans. I mean, at this point, do you really need to play a flag football game? I mean, what's really the point of a flag football game? What's the point of that?
Just for them to put something on TV.
Exactly. For them to put something on TV. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I think people watch. I think you'll see quite a few people watch this year to see what it is, see what all they're going to do with the skills competition. And then of course they're having a flag football game as well. They're doing it on 2 different nights, so that's going to be a little different. They're doing skills competition one night, and then the next night they're doing the game and skill competition. So I'm not gonna. I'll watch. I'll at least turn it on and see what it looks like because of Eli and Peyton being the coaches of the teams. You know that's probably going to be hilarious. I think it's going to be different, but like I said, I never watched the Pro Bowl before this anyway, so it really don't change much for me. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in probably 10 years.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I've never really watched the Pro Bowls either. Or the only thing I've really actually truly watched was a slam dunk contest and the 3-point contest in the NBA. Those 2 contests I've watched, every year, slam dunk and 3-point. After that, I don't really get into all that other stuff.
And they've almost run the slam dunk contest because you get people in there like Dwayne Wade that just give a guy that he knows whatever score to make him win, like they did a year or two ago.
Yeah, that's not a bad kicking accuracy. Just don't put the Dallas kicker in there. His accuracy has not been too good the last couple of games. But I don't know, man. I just don't get into it anymore. And especially, with last year's dunk contest, how bad it was, and how it just was horrible. And I ever since then I just haven't been able to get into it.
No, about the only All-Star game I really watch. I watch baseball, but I don't watch it I don't know if I watch as much as I used to, but I'll tune in and watch some of it. I think that's probably the sport that their All-Star game is closest to being a competitive game. Maybe hockey. I really haven't watched much hockey All-Stars game, so I can't.
No, I never either.
Say a whole lot.
I have watched the home run derby. I watched the home run derby just because I like to watch the long ball, but
yeah, I watched
even that.
I watched some of the All-Star game. I used to watch more of the All-Star game back when whoever won got to host got home field advantage during the World Series. So then them games, I don't know, them games felt a little more real. Now that the All-Star game really don't mean nothing. Yeah. Like I said, I'll tune into it, but I might not watch the whole game. One thing I do like about Major League Baseball All-Star game that they did last year was having some of the players mic'd up on the field and talking to some of the players. I did think that was pretty neat, just because you don't see that in baseball very often. So
yeah, they did it. I think they did it though this last All-Star though, didn't they? I remember them having a mic up because they were out there in the outfield. And they were
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I thought that was pretty cool. Having that, but I don't know. I don't know what they can really do to make the All-Star. I mean, hell, in the NBA, the players, the regular season don't even mean nothing to the players. So why the hell are they going to show up and play play hard for the All-Star game?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I did like the idea where you could hear the conversation between the pitcher and the catcher when they were doing that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep. I mean, speaking of NBA, you have LeBron James don't play last night. Anthony Davis don't play last night. Load management.
Oh, yeah.
A big issue.
Patrick Bevan's over there getting into skirmishes.
Get this. LeBron didn't play last night because of an ankle injury, but he's going to play tonight.
Because magically that ankle got better.
What it was is
if they want a night off, why not just say, hey, they're taking the night off?
Who did play last night? Didn't they play the Rocket? Did they play the Rockets last night?
The Lakers, I think they played the Nets, didn't they?
Yeah, they played the Nets. You're right. They played the Nets. I have it wrote down somewhere.
No, they played the Nets.
Yeah.
That's why I seen that's where what's his name was getting into that skirmish. Pat Beverly.
You don't play against the Nets, but now you're going to play against the Knicks.
Yeah. So I guess are they gearing up for certain comp? I mean, why would you not play against the Nets though? I mean, that's the team you need to. That's the team that LeBron and AD need to play against is the Nets. If you're going to take a night off against the Rockets. Take a night off against the Pistons. Take a night off against the Spurs. Don't take a night off when you're going against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, and I understand the Nets don't have KD, but still, you're Lakers. You're 23-28. If you're still have any hopes of making the playoffs, you got to win. You got to start winning some games. Yeah, you can't be all. We're not going to play this night. I mean, Anthony Davis comes back from his injury, plays 2 games, and then sits out a game. And then I don't know. It's not just. Don't get me wrong. It's not just LeBron James. It's not just Anthony Davis that are doing it. It's a league-wide problem that, especially on these national televised games. I mean, you get a national televised game between like the Lakers and the Nets that I mean people are going to tune into, and then none of your stars play. That's a bad look for the league.
It is, and I'm gonna tell you right now, as a fan, and when I say I'm a fan, I'm saying if I'm a paid person, like I said, I'm coming to. Your dad made an excellent point last night, by the way. It is true. If I'm spending all this damn money, I don't want to see your bench as your starters. I want to see your starters as your starters. Unless you got a legit injury, your butt needs to be out there on the court playing because that's what I'm paying to come see. Quote unquote, this is an entertainment, quote unquote, industry. Well, damn it, give me some damn entertainment.
I think they should do if you set out a game, you should have to miss like the next 2 games or next 3 games.
Hell, I would do something like that. Or, matter of fact, I would do that. And then I would also say, oh, and by the way, we're going to take that game check away. You're not getting that game check. So whatever games you miss, you're just not getting paid. You want to get paid? Well, you're going to have your butt on the floor.
Yeah. But I think if you do that, if you sit out a game, you're going to miss the next 3 games as well. I think that might slow down some of this low.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you're missing 4 game checks, yeah, you can't be doing that all the time because then you'll definitely be losing that money.
Well, and it's also going to put the team in a situation where they're going to say, no, you need to play, or you're not, or we're not paying you. We're not going to you're not going to miss 30 games a season and still get paid as your full contract. It's one thing if you're injured. It's one thing if you're injured and you can't play. But when you're not injured, you just need some rest because playing a basketball game at night is just too much for you. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem. And it seems to be that trend of load management or that trend of not playing, that seems to be growing the more we go along the two. So I agree with you. I think they definitely have to do something about that, or that could definitely become a serious issue down the road. Especially, like I said, if you're fans and you're paying money to see these guys, and then you don't get the product that you're paying for. To me, that's a misrepresentation.
Yeah.
And again, the fact that they put out that injury report the day of the injury, rather than football, you got to submit that injury report in advance. I mean, honestly, if the NBA wants to do that, that would make it better for the fans. Because if I know that somebody's not playing, I'm not gonna go because I'm not gonna pay all that money to just watch a bunch of minutes. Now they may not want to do that. They may want to dupe the fans and keep them in the dark, so that way that their attendance doesn't drop. But
and problem with that is even if they release it the day before, you still have people that's already bought tickets in advance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
You got people that bought tickets 2 months in advance for their son or daughter for a birthday or for, say, a Christmas present. So you get your kids a Christmas present, get them tickets to go see their favorite player, and it's a month out, and then the player don't play because he played the night before and his legs are too tired to play another basketball game.
So what's the? I don't know what the answer would be there, but like I said, if you're on an injury report, I get that, right? But
the answer is for the players to quit being pussies and play all the games, or the NBA shorten the season, and NBA players make less money and play all the games. One of the two. I mean, something's gonna have to be done. If you shorten the season and make some rules where against it, I would say probably be the best thing. I mean, do they really need to play 82 games? The only reason the players want to keep the 82 game schedules because they make more money that way, but they don't want to play all 82. They want to play 60, 65.
They want to play 60 and 65, but get paid for 82.
Yeah. If you want to play 65 games, let's shorten the season down to 65 games, and we're going to adjust these contracts to where you're getting paid for 65 games instead of 82 games, and go that way.
Yeah, the only way you're going to stop load management with these players and stuff, you got to hit them in the pocketbook. The contract is guaranteed. They don't care about the fans because their contract is guaranteed. So I think we need to take away these guaranteed contracts. I think the NBA needs to do away with the guaranteed contracts and go by game paycheck system. Okay, we're going to give you X amount. Your contract is going to be X, $100 million, whatever. But for every game you miss, you're going to lose these game checks.
Shorten the season and expand the playoffs.
Well, they've already kind of expanded the playoffs, haven't they? That's what they got to play in.
Yeah.
I think, you got to hit in order to get an athlete to not do load management, you got to hit him in the paycheck, in the pocket, man. You got to get into that wallet, take out some of that money, to where it encourages him or it behooves them to get on the court if they want to make that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luka had 53 points last night. As the Mavs struggled to beat the Pistons, but they got the job done. Pistons were kind of scrappy last night, hung in there, but Luka dropping 53 while talking shit to the Pistons assistant coach.
I saw that. I saw he was talking shit to the Detroit Pistons assistant. I'm like, hey, if you can talk shit and drop 53, talk shit and drop 53. And just make sure if you're gonna talk shit, make sure you're dropping the points. Or getting the rebound. I think he had eight rebounds. I think he had 4 or 5 assists. I mean, he had a pretty good stat line. I think he went 5 of 11 at the 3-point arc, and he went 17 of 24 at the line. So, all in all, not a bad shooting night at all for Luka, or even, overall stats for Luka, to be honest with you. But I definitely think he can't keep that up forever. They're going to have to either more people are going to have to contribute, or they're going to have to find that next guy, that number 2 guy that can really take some of the pressure off of Luka.
This is his 4th 50-point performance of the season, which is leads the NBA. Doncic said that the Pistons coach Allen had been chirping since the first quarter.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like
he went 17 to 24.
Well, Woods didn't play in that game. It looks like I don't see. Well, he must have been out with either injury, or I wonder if he was doing load management.
And this is after. This is after on Thursday. He only played a minute into the game against the Suns because he hurt his ankle. And then you come out after your first game back from that and you drop 53. Because I was pissed. On Thursday on my picks I gave out, I decided to go with one of the prop bets, and I took Luka over 34 points because he's averaging like 33.5 points a game, and he scored 44 the night before,
right?
Days before. So I was like, okay, so I take Luka to have 34 points in the game, like a minute and a half, or 3-4 minutes into the game, he leaves with an ankle injury, never fucking comes back. I was like, oh, that's my fucking kind of luck.
Hey, and it always seems like it works out that way, It's almost like hardball if you're Tiki trying to get what's his face to make another bet, and he's like, "Come on, Tiki, I can't watch it." I'll tell you, man. That's the one thing that always kept me from really betting money on games and betting this, that, or the other. I'm always afraid that I would get myself too deep, and Johnny Two Thumbs would be looking to kill me or something, and I'm jumping out of windows, I'm hiding in behind cars, and I'm good.
Well, you think anybody in the East is going to be able to beat the Celtics?
Jeez, man. Well, yeah. If the Bucks could. If they can pull off that Dre Crowder trade, or if they can get Eric Gordon to help bolster up that bench, I don't ever discount the Bucks and Giannis, man. I just think they need that. I like Eric Gordon and I like what he can do for their bench scoring, but that Jay Crowder, man, people don't underestimate, man. When you get that junkyard dog mentality in there, that's what you need. You need that toughness. And I think that Crowder, if you put Crowder on the Bucks, if he gets to the Bucks, that could definitely be the X factor. And then I still believe the Bucks, have a damn good shot at taking the East. I don't think it's a clear cut Boston Celtics run East.
No, neither do I, because I think the Nets are going to be right in there too when they get get Kevin Durant back. Well, let me rephrase that. I think they could be right in there when they get Kevin Durant back, as long as they can stay focused on just basketball. And so far, Kyrie Irving seems like he has. He has, even without Durant there. They've been playing decent, but when you're missing your best player, you're going to struggle a little bit. So I think if they can get healthy, they're going to be tough. I agree with you. The Bucks could be a threat. I'll have to put the 76ers as a slight threat. I'm not going to put them as a full threat just because they always seem to have an injury or Doc Rivers seems to choke it away somehow.
Yeah.
But the way Joel Embiid's been playing, even Harden's been playing decent. They have the talent; they can compete. But I don't trust Rivers as a coach, and I don't trust Embiid's health to be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, again, I think that's the biggest thing is Embiid's health. Can Embiid stay healthy all the way throughout the playoffs? And that's a big if. But yeah, I think Milwaukee there, and I say, man, like you said, Brooklyn. Once Durant comes back, and see how he, if they can pick up where they left off, where they were when they had like that 8 or 9 game win streak thing going. If they can get back into that mode,
I think it got up to like 12.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was 12. I think it was 12 when it finally went down. So if they can find that, if they can get when Durant comes back, if they can get back into that mojo, you could be looking. They're only Brooklyn is 4.5 games out of first. That's very easily attainable. I think very easily Brooklyn could shoot up to number 1 in the East. Honestly, very easily if they can get that mojo back. And secondly, don't look past Cleveland. I think Cleveland is my dark horse in this.
Cleveland's a team that could compete too.
I think if Cleveland can get into that mode, they're another team that can shoot up there. So I think the East is very wide open. Again, from the 1 spot all the way to the 5 spot, you're only looking at a 5.5 game difference, and you can make that up easily in the NBA.
And it's pretty much the same thing in the West, though. There's not one team that you could say for sure that you think just is dominating and is going to run through the West. I still think the Warriors could be there toward the end if they can get healthy and figure out some of their issues on defense. You have the Grizzlies have looked pretty good. The Nuggets. The Kings have even looked good this year most of the season.
I was just about to say that's my surprise team. The fact that Sacramento is sitting at the number 3 spot right now is incredible. That tells me one of two things. Either A, the Kings are just playing that well, or B, the West is just that weak.
I think it's more of the Kings playing well, in my opinion. I mean, you have Sabonis, should be an all-star starter this year with the way he's been playing there for the Kings. That trade worked out well for the Kings, and it worked out well for the Pacers. I think it worked out well for both teams. I don't think there's been really a loser in that trade. But the Kings have put together quietly put together a pretty solid team over there, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
I just, when I look at the East versus the West, typically speaking, in past years, the West has always been the more dominant conference. And right now, it's clearly the East is a more dominant conference when you got your 1 through 4 seeds with a 620 or better win percentage. And then you go to the West and, only your top 2, the Denver Nuggets and Memphis Grizzlies, post above 600. Everybody else is 571 at the 3 spot, all the way down to 519 at the number 6 spot. And if you go to the 6th spot over in the East, which is the Miami Heat, they're at 549. So clearly 1 through 6 is doing so much better than the West 1 through 6. Now, granted, it's still early in the season, and you can't look past Golden State. I know Golden State's struggling right now, but hell, Golden State struggled when they won last year. When they won the title last year, they were struggling, and then they came on at the end and took care of business. So, especially when they had to go through Phoenix, when Phoenix was your number 1 team last year, and now you look at Memphis. Memphis is the number 2 team, so. And Memphis was a little lower. So there are some changes going on in the West, but I think the West has gotten a little bit weaker this year than they were last year.
I agree. It looks. I think there's a little more parity in the West than what there was last year. I mean, you got quite a few teams like we just mentioned that could be up there. I mean, the Nuggets got off to a hot start when they're fully healthy. We know what Joker can do, and then you add that he has some of his help back this year. That should help. Memphis, I think Memphis is getting a little too cocky, a little too early. You haven't won anything.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't won anything yet, and you're already talking about there's nobody in the West that's a threat.
That's really a bad mistake.
Want to slow your roll a little bit on that.
Yeah, that's definitely not. That's definitely them. Yeah, you're right. They're full of bravado, and that's okay. A lot of times when you get like that, yeah, if sooner or later you get your butt kicked and you're back down to where you started. So I take that kind of crap with a grain of salt, honestly, because like you said, they haven't done anything. They're trying, but they haven't.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They have a solid team. I mean, they've shown that they got a solid team around Ja. It's not just all about Ja. They showed that last year in the playoffs when he was hurt. So, they're capable of making a deep run, but I wouldn't be going around saying, if I'm Ja, I'm not going around saying that I'm not worried about there's no threat in the West because you haven't won the West yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm really, like I said, Phoenix is one of those teams where, number one, I can't believe how far they slid down from last year. When last year they were at the 1 spot, and now they're at the 7th spot and struggling. It's incredible to see how far they've dropped. And then you look at their team. Of course, Devin Booker is out with injury, and it looks like Cameron Payne is also out with injury. So they've got some injuries on their side. But I really wonder as to when new management takes over here. I believe they take over February 9th, I think, is when I believe the deal is supposed to be complete, and they're going to have new ownership. So my thought process is what is new ownership going to do to this roster? Are they going to start breaking it down, reconstructing, or are they going to keep a status quo? And then what's the future for Chris Paul look like? Because I know his name has been brought up in terms of possibility to be traded because of new ownership. So I kind of wonder where he's going to wind up. I think him if he takes a vet minimum or whatever deal to go over to LA and help out with that point guard situation over there in LA, well, hell, you get him over there, and then you got your wing defender and producer and Hamiura, and then you got Davis and you got James. If they can come back healthy and stay healthy, that could transform into a pretty good team midway through. So I'm not going to count out the Lakers out just yet, because I really am curious to see if they can work out a trade for Chris Paul if that does in fact come to fruition.
Yeah, but even adding Chris Paul, I still don't think it makes him a contender.
You got to tell me why, because I got to be honest with you, everywhere Chris Paul has gone, he's made their teams contenders.
Yeah, he's made their teams better. But if you look at his play last year in the playoffs, he didn't play well in the playoffs last year. Once his birthday hit, it seemed like everything went downhill for him. He can't always stay healthy. I just don't know if just bringing him in that one player is going to be enough to propel them to compete with some of the other teams in the West. I think it makes them better, but I don't know if it would make them a contender for a championship.
Yeah, again, and you're not going to know that until, number one, he goes over there. Number two, he takes a physical to really find out, where he's at physically. He's got to take that physical. If he passes the physical, sometimes going to a new situation, man, can rejuvenate a person from where they were. So, that's why I don't write off Chris Paul, because look, he's a veteran. He just like Derek Fisher. As old as Derek, even when Derek Fisher got older, I mean, he started coming back. He had his moments. So I don't want to look past what Chris Paul can do, at least not just yet. But I think he's definitely due for a change of scenery. I think his time in Phoenix is kind of up, in my opinion. I think he needs to move on and try again. And that's why I kind of think LA would be a good spot for him. And it would be a bad thing for LA, because I think if they can get Chris Paul on the lower end of the contract, then that might work in their favor. But again, a lot of things will have to come into play. And also, would Chris Paul be willing to play for less money? Who knows?
Yeah.
They are a bunch of old people. I agree, Anthony. They are a bunch of old people.
Well, that's what LeBron wants. So when he goes to a team, he brings in a lot of veteran guys because he don't want to play with the young guys.
And you're right. He doesn't. He doesn't want to play.
And that's one reason why the Lakers are in the situation they are now. Look at all the young talent.
I think LeBron doesn't trust the young people as much as he does the older vets.
Yeah, but look how all the young talent that the Lakers let go because of that.
Well, I agree. I agree.
Well,
yeah. Kuzma is a good example of that.
Brandon Ingram.
I mean, yeah.
And look what Ingram's done in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think Chris Paul, there's a very realistic chance that he will finish without a ring. He's like,
they shouldn't have got
37?
They shouldn't have got rid of Lonzo Ball. He could have kept LeBron James and Anthony Davis company over there on the bench while they're sitting out games.
Oh, that's a cheap shot, but I like it. I like it. No, seriously. Keep those coming. I wish Frankie was here. I would love to. Well, Frankie knows already. I think Frankie, when it comes to the Lakers, Frankie doesn't put up near as much of a fight as he does with the Patriots or the Yankees. And I think it's just because he realizes where that team is, and I think Frankie has come to the rationalization that the Lakers are probably going to suck for at least a good decade from now. So.
And a team that we haven't really mentioned a lot in the West, the Clippers. I mean, they're fourth in the West.
Yeah,
you just never know about their injuries and who's going to. That's
another injury issue, right? I mean, yeah, exactly. Because again, that's another team, that has some older pieces in there. John Wall, he's not young anymore. He's had a couple of surgeries and stuff. God knows, man, if they can keep Kawhi Leonard on the floor, I think Kawhi Leonard's got more time off the court than he does on the court in the last, 4 or 5 years. So, and then Paul George, Paul George is just Paul George. So what do they really have over there to work with, honestly? Which is a shame, because I think that team, that's one of those teams that is extremely talented, but just can't deliver on what their talent brings because of injuries. Which is crazy. Which I'm kind of curious as to what is Steve Ballmer's plan with the Clippers. You know, Steve Ballmer, he's a pretty successful guy, and I'm really surprised that he hasn't made more, you know, strategic moves in terms of what he's going to do. Because I thoroughly believe I don't think Kawhi Leonard is ever going to get back to where he can play a full season all the time. I just think that I just don't see that happening with him. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And at what point do you say, you know what? I'm paying him all this money, but he's hardly ever even on the court. Is it time to move on from him?
My problem is I don't know if it's because he's not capable of. I just don't think he wants to.
And that could very well be. God knows. I mean, how do you have all these injuries? You're barely on the court.
And still getting paid a bunch of money.
And still getting paid. You're right. And still getting paid a bunch of money.
Oh, no, to me,
how do you have all these injuries and you're hardly even on the court?
To me, ever since he got that championship in Toronto, he's turned more into one of them guys that he likes the lifestyle and the money that being in the NBA brings. But I'm not sold that
he don't want to put the effort.
To be in the NBA and play.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. So John Wall is out with injury. Reggie Jackson's day-to-day. Robert Covington's day-to-day. Marcus Morris is out due to injury. But believe it or not, Kawhi Leonard's in there. Small forward. He's not on the injury report. Praise Jesus. I wonder how long that'll last.
He's not on the injury report, but he might decide to load manage tonight.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. You know, we laugh about it, but honestly, that's kind of true. There's a lot of truth in that. Unfortunately.
Never know.
Like, I'm looking on here, and yeah, Kawhi Leonard didn't even play. He didn't even play the last game that they lost to Cleveland 122-99, and there's no Kawhi Leonard even on he didn't even play. So they got him on there as not being injured, but yet he didn't play the last game. So that makes absolutely zero sense.
Load manage, man. Load manage.
Damn, neither did Paul George. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, none of them played for the Clippers. Batum, Powell, Zubac, Mann, and Coffey played were the starters. What a time to be alive. Jeez Louise, man. That's why the Clippers can't do shit. Everybody's on the damn bench. Hell, I got the best bench in the world. I just can't get them on the court.
Oh yeah, that's the NBA nowadays, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. Unfortunately, that is the NBA nowadays, which to me is sad. But you're right.
Which is why I think more people don't pay as much attention to the NBA till it gets closer to the playoffs because of that anymore.
Right.
Remember, back when I was younger, me and Dad, we used to watch quite a bit of NBA. We wouldn't miss a Pacer game hardly. Now it's more of, I watch a lot of the Pacer games, but it's a lot more of, I don't pay attention to like the other teams until you get closer to the playoffs and the players actually decide that it's time to play, that it means something. Like I said, The players are proven that the regular season don't mean nothing. So why should the fans invest in the regular season?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I think that's what happened yesterday though, is they did load manage Leonard and Paul because the game before that they played Atlanta and Kawhi did 39 minutes at 32 points. Again, great stat line for him. And then Paul George scored 23 points. So yeah, they're definitely doing load. That's definitely what it was. They were doing load management because they didn't play last night. They didn't play on the 29th, but they played on the 28th. So yeah.
Oh yeah, second game of back-to-back, you see a lot of players sit out nowadays. Can't play 2 games in a row, man. That's too hard. That's too hard.
It's too much for that tiny heart. That's the problem, man. We got too many athletes that have tiny hearts. That's what they should put on the back of their jersey. Put tiny heart on the back of their jersey. Instead of their name, just put tiny heart. Time to be alive. Load management. Load freaking management, man. And that's why the Clippers will never get better. They will never be the true LA team. The Lakers will always be a true LA team because they just can't seem to get that right roster in there, you know? Even with all the great names that they put on there, they still can't get the right roster.
How long is this Clippers owner going to stick with this core of players before he's had enough and says, "Fuck it, we're going to blow it up and get some players in here"?
Well, yeah, and that's exactly what my thought process. How long is Ballmer going to ride with this?
This been this is about the third or fourth season with George and Kawhi, isn't it?
I think it's his fourth. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's his fourth year with them.
And you haven't done nothing compared to what all the hype that when you sign those guys, the hype coming in, you definitely haven't lived up to it.
Yeah, if I was just looking to see
you bring in Tyronn Lue, who's supposed to be, which I still do think he's a good coach. But everybody talks how great of a coach he is, but he hasn't been able to get the Clippers back on, you know what I mean, at that level yet.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder if you're Tyronn Lue, you know, what sports runs LA. Man, right now nobody, because nobody's winning. The Rams are horrible. The Lakers are horrible. The Dodgers, I guess, if you want to say, I guess maybe the Dodgers. I mean, they're the only ones that had a little bit of success out that direction last year. So, but I don't think anybody's running LA right now, truthfully.
Who's more popular, Lakers or the Dodgers in LA?
God, you know, I don't know. That's a good question. I would probably say just because it's NBA, I'm going to go Lakers. Just because, you know, I mean, if you look at the relevancy of the sports, NBA, I feel like is more relevant. So my thought process would lean towards the Lakers.
Lakers. I would say probably just because they have the more historic with all the championships and everything they won. I think they might have the bigger following, but nobody. I mean, like you said, none of the teams are really dominant. I mean, football, Chargers Chargers made the playoffs, but it wasn't. You know, what I mean, they didn't do nothing past that. Like you said, Rams didn't make the playoffs. Lakers. Maybe make the play in.
Yeah.
Dodgers, at least I guess, are in the playoffs or in talks of being a World Series contender about every season. So I mean, I guess if you go by like that, I would have to say the Dodgers, but none of them have been real great.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Poor LA, man. Not that I really give a damn because I hate LA. Me personally, I like it. I like where LA is right now. Hey, they all suck. So, you know, anybody, you know, hey, I don't know who's worse, man. Hey, Lakers fans can be pretty rough too, man. Hey, look, Frankie, you know, Frankie were pretty rough around there. Jonathan Mathis, he's a Lakers fan. Who else is a Lakers fan? Oh, yeah, Freddie's a Lakers fan. All these guys are like Lakers fans, and they all talk smack when they're winning. So I like it when the Lakers are losing because I don't hear it. My Facebook feed is real quiet. When Laker Nation and when Dodger Nation and Rams Nation, when they're all losing, my Facebook is nice and quiet.
Are Laker fans kind of shady? Because 2 out of the 3 people you mentioned were Laker fans.
I think, hey,
are kind of shady people.
Hey, clearly not a good representation for those teams, right? I mean, clearly they are. So yeah, that's not a good representation at all. So speaking of which, Brock Purdy. Speaking of California, and I guess now saying, looks like Brock Purdy's going to be out 6 months with that UCL injury.
Yeah, toward UCL. They don't know if they can repair it or if they're going to have to restructure it. So it could end up being Tommy John surgery, basically.
Yeah. Stephen A. on First Take this morning said that he thinks that the 49ers need to carry 4 quarterbacks. He's like really no. He's like, hey, look, if you want to now they were talking where they were on First Take where they had Brady possibly going to San Francisco.
I've heard his name in there. I still think there's a chance that Rodgers might end up there too. But I've heard Brady's name mentioned because the 49ers have been in talk. I mean, both when he was a free agent, they were in talks about trying to get him, and they've kind of kept that door open. It's going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do. I mean, is Purdy automatically going to be your starter coming off this injury? You don't know exactly when he'll be ready for next season. I mean, yeah, he might be ready by the beginning of the season, but is he going to be ready for training camp and stuff to get ready for the season? Are you going to go back to Trey Lance? Are you going to try to bring in somebody like a Brady or a Rodgers or a bigger name guy, and then give Purdy more time to maybe recover, and then go. You could always go back to Purdy that next season with him having more time for that arm to recover. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I mean, if you listen to a lot of people didn't even think there was a guarantee that Purdy was going to be the starter for the 49ers next year anyway, even if they'd have won that game over the weekend and he got them to the Super Bowl. There was a lot of people that still thought there was going to be an open quarterback competition, or that they might bring in somebody. So it's, I mean, and we've seen that. I know it's not the exact same situation, but we saw Nick Foles win a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and next season he wasn't the starter. So I mean, we've seen some weird things where you think, hey, if this guy got you to the Super Bowl, even if you didn't win the Super Bowl, but got you there, you'd think he's going to be your starter next season, especially since when Purdy came in, their offense started scoring more points. Their numbers in offense went up. So it wasn't like they were winning despite of Purdy. He was a part of it. So
right.
I felt like he was probably going to at least get maybe a chance to be the starter next year. But now, does he get another chance? You know what I mean? Because they bring in somebody else, he might not get another chance to step on the field for the 49ers for a year or 2 years or maybe longer.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you bring in a Rodgers, you bring in a Brady, clearly Purdy is going to be, pushed to the back of the pile. But at the same time, I'm okay with that too, because you know what? Purdy is young as hell. And if you're sitting behind Rodgers or you're sitting behind Brady, that's a lot of experience for him to draw off of and add to what he's already built, the year previously. So, and like I said, hey, look, if you bring in a Brady, you bring in a Rodgers, and you throw him into the San Francisco lineup, especially given San Francisco injury history at the quarterback position, I think at some point you got to say, hey, Purdy, sit back. Tom's 45, going to be 46. Aaron is like 39, going to be 40. You just chill, because more than likely at some point you're going to make your way into the rotation. And I think you're right. I think you ride, Brady or Rodgers, whatever, and then you got Purdy, Garoppolo, and Trey Lance, and then you just ride it and see what happens. And you let go of Johnston or Josh Johnson, whatever that dude's name is. No, is that John? Yeah. So that's my theory on it. Hey, I you can't have enough quarterbacks like Stephen A. said. You can't have enough quarterbacks out there in San Francisco. I think you make a 1-year offer to either Rodgers or Brady, and you go from there.
Well, I think the NFL needs to change the rule for the playoff.
Right.
Where
yeah.
I think you're allowed to have like 49 or 47 players on your active roster. Why can't you have all 53 guys on your active roster? Then you would see more of these teams maybe keep 3 quarterbacks active. That was another thing that hurt the 49ers. You only had 2 active quarterbacks. Well, they both got hurt. You had nobody. You didn't. You know what I mean? You don't have another quarterback on the active roster you could use.
That's true. And let's be honest, Purdy doesn't go down. And even if Purdy goes down, Garoppolo comes in. If neither one of them are hurt, what would be the chances of 49ers, taking away that win? with the competent quarterback running the system. You know what Garoppolo can do with it. They've done it before. You know what Purdy can do with it. So I think that's the ticket. I think, that's what killed San Francisco in the playoffs was the lack of depth at the quarterback position, not because they didn't have people on the roster, but because they were all injury plagued.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. That's crazy when you have 4 quarterbacks on your roster and all of them are sitting, or we have 3 quarterbacks on your roster and all of them are sitting at hurt. And you got to go to this guy you brought out the practice squad that's basically bounced around forever. And, it's crazy to me.
No, I agree. I put San Francisco in an odd situation there in that playoff game.
Yeah, and it's sad, too, because with all the skill sets that they have, there's no reason why they couldn't have won that game against the Eagles, had they had a competent quarterback that wasn't injured running the show.
It sucked for the fans that it happened in the first quarter like that, because a game that everybody was excited for, we all thought was going to be a great game, was going to come down to that we thought would come down to the end, kind of like the Chiefs and Bengals did. Kind of got taken away from us because of an injury early first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if you were betting on San Francisco to win that game based on the emergence of Purdy, and then he goes down that first drive, and you're like, oh, damn. And then you got to watch the rest of the game knowing you're about to lose all this money, whatever it is you were betting on. God.
But just better hope you didn't bet a bunch.
Right, and that's the thing, though. That's where that's why the Eagles are so stacked. Even if, God forbid, even if Hurts went down in the Super Bowl, you can still turn the ball over to Gardner Minshew and, keep riding the wave. That's the good thing about Garner. Garner has proven that Garner could be a starter on some of these teams, and that's your backup. Crazy. Yeah, you want an overpaid quarterback in Rodgers or an old scared to get hit Brady. Do I want either one of them at this stage in their career? Probably not. But at the same time, look, hey, if I had Brady or Rodgers in there and they get hurt, I got Purdy coming in. I don't know. I mean, and again, let's not discount what these quarterbacks can do given time. I mean, Brady's still Brady. I mean, even at 46, he put up almost 5,000 yards. That's still pretty damn good. Even if he is scared to get hit, he still put up a crap ton of yards. So, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. Now with Rodgers is still playing at a good level. So he's not, he still got 2 or 3 more years left in him. The problem with Rodgers, and Anthony did hit that pretty nicely, is he is extremely overpaid. That's a big cap number. But again, he said if he's really truly willing to do what he said he's willing to do, and that's restructure his contract, you could put voidable years in there. You could backload a lot of that money to the end and put him in your lineup and be good to go. Now, yeah, you're going to have to face that pain, on the back end years of those contracts. You're going to have to pay him then. That will hurt you. But if you want to get a Super Bowl win champ now, maybe you take a flyer on it, right?
I do. I mean, I think you could. As of right now, I think I'd go with Rodgers over Brady just because of the age, and Rodgers can still move a little bit where Brady can't hardly move anymore. And but I mean, and like you said, I think you can get 2 or 3 more seasons out of Rodgers. How many more seasons you gonna get out of Brady? I think maybe one. I mean, maybe 2.
Like I said, they both have their pros and cons, right? With Brady, it's his age. And with Rodgers, it's his contract. And you have to figure out, okay, what's my best option? Truthfully, if I'm just trying to win right now, and I don't want to put myself in financial chaos down the road, then I do go the route of Brady. But if I don't mind paying that, those back end years down the road, then yeah, you're right. I would go with Rodgers. It really just depends on your thought process in terms of if you're willing to eat that money down the road, or if you're just trying to win right now, then Brady makes the better sense because he's trying to win right now and probably retire after the Super Bowl. So, you win one Super Bowl with Brady. Okay, great. I got my Super Bowl. I didn't lose I didn't have to take my shirt off and my pants off and sell them to be able to afford the rest of the contract. So it does make sense. And then you move on. And what did you get out of it? You got a Super Bowl ring out of it. You're a true quote unquote star that you want to bring up, and Purdy got some invaluable experience in that 1 year. And now you just turn the ball over to Purdy and you keep on rolling.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it just depends on which con it is you want to live with. Do you want to live with only having Brady for 1 year, or do you want to live with having a lot of money on the back end of that Aaron Rodgers contract? And then what if he doesn't give you a Super Bowl anyway? Then what? Then you're still stuck with that money.
Well, I mean, yeah. A lot of it too depends on what kind of contract. I mean, what Rodgers is willing to do with that contract to make it work for the team. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Brady's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, Brady would be.
And that's what I was saying. That's the positive side to Brady is Brady will give you that 1 year. You get the contract. You move on for him, and you still got Purdy. You still got you didn't have to sacrifice anything. You're not in financial hell. You're not cap strapped or anything like that, right? Like I said, if you go with Rodgers, there's no guarantee you're getting a Super Bowl with Rodgers. It's not guaranteed. You would like to think that he gives you a good chance, but it's not a guarantee. And if I don't have a guarantee in my pocket, I don't know if I'm going to mortgage all that money down the road for a Super Bowl I never got.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's the downside.
There's no guarantee bringing either one of them in.
No, I'm just saying if you lose with Brady, it's not a big deal. You only lost 1 year. You let him go, and it didn't cost you really too much anything other than really just the 1 year.
Yep.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes we have to look at this. Yeah, I want to win a Super Bowl too, but do you really want to jeopardize the future of your organization trying to get that one trophy? That kind of makes me nervous. So what do you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I didn't realize the Pelicans had lost 8 games in a row.
Damn, are they at 8 games right now? I thought it was I couldn't remember if it was 6 or if it was 8. I knew they were losing quite a bit.
Yeah, they lost 8 in a row going into tonight's game against the Nuggets.
And Zion, is he back?
I don't think so.
Which is interesting because he's actually one of the all-star starters. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me, the fact that Russell Wilson makes more money than Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Herbert, and all of them. It's crazy.
It's all about when your contract comes up.
Man, I'm telling you, listen, you're not lying. You are not lying.
Who's going to be the Broncos' next head coach?
Man. Well, it won't be DeMeco Ryans. He's already said that the Broncos are out. I think he really is settling on going to the Texans.
Yeah, I think that's where DeMeco's going from everything I hear.
Yeah, I think he's got his mind set on Texans, and I think that's where he's going. Man, but yeah, you're right. Like, who's going to take over that Broncos job? Because it looks like Peyton's going to the broadcast booth. They did bring in. We talked about the other day. They brought in Jim Harbaugh for that second interview.
They went to Michigan to go talk to Harbaugh. So Harbaugh's in a situation there with them there that he probably get a good amount of money if he wanted it.
I think with the I think with the investigation going right now into Michigan and Harbaugh,
that investigation into Harbaugh is fucking retarded.
It is retarded.
It's over.
But
It's about buying a kid a hamburger or something, and then he's kind of acting like he don't remember them asking him about it. So they're kind of mad at that. That's what they're mad about, is he won't just come out. He's kind of acting like, I don't know what you're talking about. But dude, buying a college basketball player a fucking hamburger? Are you kidding me? Come on. Or a football player, I should say, not basketball player.
Man, he must have got the McDouble.
Now he probably done like you, got about 7 of them hamburgers.
hey, listen, this is a little crazy here. He's got 7 damn hamburgers. What's his problem?
Hey, you can buy 1 hamburger, Coach Harbaugh, but you can't buy him 7. What the fuck?
Hey, listen, are you feeding him or his family? Come on. That's a family meal. That's not a meal.
I mean, to me, that's so stupid.
Well, I thought it was a lot of it centered around that they were having contact during the dead period when they weren't supposed to have contact with recruits.
Oh, see, I haven't heard a whole lot about that. What I heard more about was about the violation for a hamburger.
Oh, I'm sure that's in there too. The one I read on it was they were talking to recruits during the dead period, that they weren't allowed to talk to recruits, and they were doing that, and that's what they were getting them on. And they were getting Harbaugh because Harbaugh was basically, I don't know if he was either lying to them or just not talking to them, but they called that hampering the investigation because he was or not being cooperative. That's what it was. Because he's not being cooperative in the investigation, that was a level 1 offense. And I guess the level 1 offense carried like a certain number of games or maybe even a full season suspension for him. So, and then they had a bunch of level two offenses that were below that, which is probably where that hamburger or whatever it was.
The NCAA is a joke.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Man, why are you worried about a damn hamburger when you got the NIL out there? I mean, what's the difference what if you did give him a hamburger? So what? Honest, it's a damn hamburger. It's food. Whatever.
Before the NIL became legal or whatever, look at all these teams. I mean, your players are getting fucking cars, all kinds of shit. It's happened forever. That's why people were so upset about the NIL, because the teams that were able to do that now are like, fuck, everybody can do it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they're over there being penalized for it. Now there's no more penalized.
Oh,
yeah. So your dad said no Zion. So that's interesting, man. I wonder what's going to happen.
Rules.
So,
just some of the rules.
I guess the All-Star break, Zion's not.
Yeah.
I guess Zion's not going to be in the All-Star game now that if he's not cleared to play, it looks like. When is the All-Star game? What month is that? Is that March? I think it's in March. I think the All-Star game's in March. It's either March or April. Which, if it's March, depending on his injury or what he's going through, he probably will be able to play.
Let's see. NBA All-Star game is February 19th.
Oh, wow. So it's February. Oh, wow.
So a couple weeks, about 3 weeks.
Yeah, he may not. I got to be honest with you. If I'm the Pelicans, I'm telling Zion, look, bro, I know you want to play, but right now we need you for the back half of the season. It may not be a good idea for you to play. Might want to bypass this one and catch it next year, because I think, again, they can't tell them that, but I think they should, because I think if I'm Zion, I'm not worried about playing All-Star. I'm trying to play the back half of the season, get ready for these playoffs.
Let's see. Trying to see if I can find out what it's saying about Zion. Like, how long is he going to be out?
Now, that's a guy who needs load management, is Zion. I would definitely do his load management with Zion, because he can't play every damn game and stay healthy.
The Pelicans entered Tuesday night's contest having lost 13 of its last 16 games, including 8 in a row.
That's insane.
It's no coincidence that All-Star forward Zion Williamson the team's last 14 games with a hamstring injury.
Huh.
Looking to
Wow.
trying to see if it says like when Zion might come back.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Williamson will not play against the Nuggets on Tuesday, while the 22-year-old is progressing in his recovery from a right hamstring injury. He's still a ways away from returning to the court. He should be.
That's a guy's whole life, a ways away from returning to the court.
He'll be evaluated. He'll be reevaluated around next Tuesday, around February 7th. So they're going to reevaluate him next week and see where he's at. But it doesn't sound like he's so I would say he's probably not going to be playing in the All-Star game.
All-Star game, shit. That should be the last thing on his mind is the All-Star game. If I'm what they're saying about his injury,
I'm wrapping that motherfucker in bubble wrap.
Man, and that's the thing, man. Honestly, I mean, it's. I mean, I know it sounds silly to say that, but damn, I mean, honestly, what what can you do? I don't have time to be alive.
How long do you give him before you consider him maybe almost a bust and decide it's time to move on? I mean, how often can you how many seasons can you keep dealing with him not playing before you say, hey, it's time to cut bait? I know when he's on the court, he's explosive. He's fun to watch. He's an outstanding player. He adds a lot to that team. But it also comes to a point where if you're not on the court enough, at some point we're going to have to move on if we want to have a chance to reach our goal of trying to win a championship.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's true though. I mean, damn.
I mean, because dude, that's a team we didn't mention earlier. But if they're completely healthy, that could be a scary team in the West as well. Is the Pelicans?
Yeah.
When they're healthy, if Zion's healthy, and you have Ingram and McCollum, and I mean they have a good team over here. And hell, we saw it last year. They took the Suns to 6 games without Zion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it, man. I think when it comes to Zion, oh man, I tell you, it's so hard. It's very painful to look at because he's so talented, but he just can't stay healthy, and there's nothing more frustrating for an owner or a coach or a GM or whatever, than to have an amazing, talented guy, but he just can't stay on the court. And one instance, you're like, do I cut him? But if I cut him, God, what if he blows up with another team? And then you got seller's remorse. But then again, he's sitting on your bench not doing anything, and you're paying this guy to not do anything. And it's just like, come on. At what point do you say enough is enough? I mean, at what point do we say? Well, at what point do we put the Greg Oden tag on him?
I hate to even bring up that name like that because Greg Oden was from Indiana.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, Greg Oden had all the talent in the world.
Couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, you're right. Just couldn't stay on the court. DeMarcus Cousins, another one, had all the talent in the world, but once those injuries started hitting him, he was just done.
And at a certain point, you come back and you're not the same. I know Zion. I know Zion's a young guy, but Oden was a young guy too.
Yeah. I mean, another one in that conversation was Yao Ming when the Rockets. I mean, when you look at Yao Ming, you look at a guy that prototypically would have been probably one of the best players, in the NBA. The guy can hit free throws, he can hit 3 points, he could block, he could play down low. At 7'7", the guy was just, it was like a 7'7" giant, but he could play damn near like a point guard. And it's just a shame that his career was cut short due to injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the investigation that they're into on Michigan about about sanctions and stuff. Part of it's about buying a player a hamburger. He must not took him to McDonald's. He must have went to Burger King.
Yeah, I mean, at what point do you just give? It's crazy. I don't even know
That's
how
what
you
the joke is about the NCAA. They want to act like they're all about the players and all this, but okay, you want to penalize the player or a team because of that. But as long as them players and teams are making the NCAA money, you're happy with it. But if they break one of your little rules to try to keep you in control, is what gets me. Yeah, lying about it is stupid.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. But I also get where he's at. He's like, I'm preparing for a bowl game. I don't want to fucking talk to you guys about a goddamn hamburger that I bought a kid last month. I'm trying to win a national championship. So but yeah, I mean, but lying about it is, I mean, it ain't gonna make anything better. So, but I also see Hardball's pointing away. It's like I got a lot more fucking better, more important things to worry about than if I bought a kid a hamburger.
Yeah, it would have been better if he would have just made a donation to McDonald's and then have McDonald's just donate a hamburger to the kid for free.
I don't know.
I mean, what's to say? I mean, what if he invites Zion Williamson, or not Zion? What if he invites the kid over to his house and barbecues up hamburgers and gives him a burger off of his grill? What's the difference?
Depending on what time of year it is, you can't even. I don't think that's even allowed.
Interesting.
Because, like you said, you got the dead time where you're not allowed to contact the player. And dude,
right.
And this just isn't in college. They have rules like this in high school. Like when I coached high school wrestling, there was actually periods that technically we were not allowed. We were not supposed to talk to our athletes. Like periods during the off season and stuff. Now, do they enforce it in high school like they do in college? Most places don't. I mean, not to that level. But there's rules like that in high school. Like, I as a coach, I wasn't supposed to I wasn't supposed to talk to kids during a certain time. Wasn't even supposed to give a kid a ride. Wasn't even supposed to give one of my wrestlers a ride home if he needed to ride home because of insurance reasons. If we was getting in an accident or something, I mean, it's like, okay, it's 20 degrees outside. I can't give this kid. You'd rather this kid walk in 20 degree weather to get home than me give him a ride. You know what I mean? It's just like some of the stuff just don't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all. Honestly, it really doesn't. I think sometimes, in certain situations, common sense has to prevail. It just does. Damn. I mean, what else could you do? I mean, I guess you could find maybe another student to give him a ride home, but still, damn.
You go ahead and you give him a ride home. That's I mean, that's the truth of it. You know how many wrestlers I gave rides home? Any of them that needed a ride home, I made sure they got home and was safe. You know what I mean? That's just, to me, that's part of being a coach. I mean, because them kids are in your care. You know what I mean? And there ain't no way I could say, okay, you walking and something happened to that kid. You know what I mean? I'm gonna feel terrible because it's like, well, if I just took him in my car like I should have, then this might not have happened.
Yeah, and again, you make a lot of valid points.
In a way, I also understand that to an extent about that because if you do get in a car wreck, the school's gonna get, and something bad happens, the school's gonna get the fuck suit out of them.
I think, me personally, I think if you keep kids after school for practice and things like that, which is fine. I mean, what else? What other time are you going to practice? But if you're going to do that, then you should have a bus that takes these kids and drops them off at bus stops, wherever their houses are. Run that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like there's ways that school can mitigate that, right? You take buses to games. Why can't you take buses home after practice?
Well, they used to have a late bus that would come for that reason, but then as how budgets are and how funding is for schools,
right?
Some of that has been cut out. I mean, like in high school around here, they don't even have school buses. You use the city high schoolers, middle schoolers, or no, not middle school, but high schoolers use the city bus system.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, I mean, they don't even really have school buses anymore. They basically done away with that because for cutting
Well,
costs.
that's what I'm saying. So if you want to do that, the high school or the middle school, whatever grade they're in, should give them bus passes and let them take the bus. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's my thought process. I mean, if you're going to keep a kid after school to do practice for that, then you should give them bus passes. And maybe you can't. Maybe that's an NCAA violation.
And what made the rule even stupider to me is for, like, say for wrestling events, they didn't give us a regular school bus with a bus driver. You'd have one of the short buses, and the coach would drive it,
right,
to go to the meets. So
right.
as a coach, I can drive a school bus, the short bus, and go to a wrestling meet, but I can't give a kid a ride home.
Yeah, what sense does that make? Yeah, because the lady that lives up the street from me, she's a women's softball coach, and she had to go to bus driving school to learn how to drive a bus, and that's what she does. She takes her girls, wherever it is they got to go for their games, and takes them back and forth.
Some don't want to pay for a bus and a bus driver.
Yeah. Man, I remember the first time she drove that thing home and it came through the neighborhood. I said, "Hey, what you got over here? You got a party bus? Where's the kegerator?" She looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, "Man, I'm not even playing." I said, "If you got this thing for the day, let's go down to Savannah, man. Hey, I'll put some beer up in here and we'll go have a party."
Yeah, I mean, I drove that bus. I drove that, like I said, it was one of them short buses, but I drove it to take, I mean, the meets all the time. Either me or the head coach, one of us was driving it, and I don't know. I think there was one meet we went to. There was one meet we went to, they gave us a regular school bus, and it was and it was against our city rival. So it was actually a fucking like a 5-minute ride.
Oh my gosh.
They give us a regular school bus for that one, but we would drive short buses to the rest of our meets.
Hey, I like those short buses though, man. They're easier to drive. They're easy to maneuver around corners. Honestly, I mean, if it was just me and the team, depending on how much gear you have, I think that's where you run into your problem is all the gear that they have. Especially if you're football, probably not so much for wrestling because wrestling, you just got your little tights or whatever, but.
Yeah, I mean, everybody would have basically a bag.
So that wouldn't be too bad, right? I mean, you could fit everybody in there. I mean, how many wrestlers did you have? Like 9 or 10?
There's 14 weight classes, but a lot of times you take your whole team, so we'd have around 20.
Oh, you got 20 kids? Oh, wow. Okay, well then you might need a full size.
Oh no, well there was sometimes we'd take two short buses.
Now, what the hell kind of sense does that make?
Hey, I'm just saying.
Sometimes, so let me waste double the gas on this trip, but we have budget problems. That makes no sense. You said, "Jay, no, my team 4-0, not showing up in a short bus."
And like, especially if we went to like out of town, like, cause we used to go to some high school meets out of town where we'd stay all night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was times we'd be driving 2 short buses to get everybody in.
Damn.
Or, I mean, I don't know, man. Some of the rules are weird. That's for sure.
I love high school sports though. My high school just took state this year in Texas, North Shore 6A. They won state this year. They were ranked I want to say they were ranked like number 9 in the nation. North Shore was.
In what sport?
Football. Yeah. Baseball. North Shore's got 3 sports.
Man, don't be lying.
Football, baseball, basketball.
Texas high school football is no good.
Huh?
So don't be lying. Texas high school football is no good.
What you smoking over there? You must be smoking some crack cocaine or something. Yeah, 2 short buses is a regular school bus. That's what I was saying. You're paying twice the amount of money to get your kids around versus just taking the big school bus.
That's what you would think. Other than like if you're staying all night, I kind of understand that because it can be hard to find a bus driver to wants to stay out of town all weekend. But I mean, I don't know. But how much are you really paying these bus drivers? It's not like these bus drivers are making an arm and a leg, so it shouldn't be that big a deal.
Yeah.
Pay for them a hotel room, pay for a couple of their meals, and say, "Hey, you drive the fucking bus."
Well, I don't know what they're putting in the water these days, but I'll tell you though, man. Hey, these kids in high school, they're growing at astronomical rates. I mean, astronomical rates. I would tell you, North Shore football team, their varsity team that won state, they're big enough that they could go up against a college team and hold their own. Now, they would get beat because of the experience of the college system, but in terms of size and weight, they could compete with them. I know North Shore's their four wide receivers, the shortest one was 6'1", and he weighed 200, and their tallest one was 6'6", and he weighed 250. And that was their wide receivers. I mean, they had some big boys out there, I'll tell you. I see this one kid. I went to the gym one time, and I think he was around 16, 17. No, he must have been 6. I think he was 16, getting ready to be 17. And we were working out at the Y, and this dude was pushing up, 3 dinner plates on each side. And this is a big boy. And I'm thinking like, damn, man, what college you go to? He's like, oh, I'm not in college. I go to North Shore High School. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about, man? Yeah, I'm only 16. I said, you're 16?
Oh yeah, dude.
Bro, you're putting up. I didn't even do the math on that, but I know 45 times 6 is what? That's like 270. You put on the bar, which is another 45. You're looking at, so he's benching 315, and he's 16 years old in high school. And he's a high school kid benching 316 or 315.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these dudes look like grown-ass men. It's crazy. But again, I blame all the chemicals that we put in, and we put into these foods and the steroids that we put in these chickens and stuff like that. You got to imagine that the ramifications are going to be bigger people because steroids are going to go from that chicken into you.
So, by that theory, everybody in Major League Baseball is cheating because everybody has steroids in them.
True. But but again, the hole in the wall is, by that same logic, we'd all be walking around with big muscular bodies just like they do. But we'd be growing hair in weird places like people who are on roids do. I don't know. But there's got to be some genetic makeup. I think it's more in the makeup of the humans, right? Like from conception.
Well, I think some of it is probably some of the chemicals in food, but I also think,
you've got to think, right?
I also think some of it is just the technology, how for nutrition has changed. I think there's a lot more people that eat healthier now than what they used to. I mean, fuck, when I was growing up, I never heard of people. There wasn't like 70, 80 different type of diets that people try to get on like there is now. You know what I mean? And now you got a lot of people that are all worried. You got a lot of people that are all worried about. I mean, you got some people that just eat all protein. You got, you know what I mean? There's different. And our medical. I think that's another thing is medically we're so far advanced that the trainers and stuff know how to get more out of these athletes.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But it seems like the players are getting are just taller than what we've seen in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's incredible how much taller these guys are, and like you said, the ability to put on the muscle the way that they put it on. Now, I get it. Protein powders, things like that, things that we feed into these kids. I mean, Yeah, it does help them get to that point. I agree, because supplementation wasn't, as prevalent back, in the 80s when I was playing football. So I get that.
Some of the supplements were just starting to get kind of big when I was in high school. Like creatine. That's when creatine first came out and got big, was when I was in high school. And dude, I used creatine there for a while.
Must have been a long while.
I wrestled 112 pounds. I was bench pressing about 225.
Well, that's the thing, creatine, it gives that added push, but the downside of creatine is a lot of it's water weight. A lot of it's water weight. Because you ever noticed when you get on creatine, if you're an avid guy that works out, let's say you work out 4 to 5 times a week. Typically 4 times would be where you'd want to work out, not so much 5 times. If you're working out 5 times a week or 6 times a week, then there should be some this should be cardio days or ab days, not necessarily muscle building days, but carb and ab days. But if you're doing creatine, and you're working out and you're actually putting the work in at the gym and not bullshit. I hate when I go to the gym and see people bullshit. But if you're actually, working out hard in the gym and you put that creatine, you'll bulk up pretty quick. The problem with creatine is the minute you come off creatine, within that same 4-week time span, you'll come back down. You'll lose a lot of that weight because all that water weight is being shed off of you.
Well, like with creatine, when I was using it back then, I'd use it during the off season more than I would during season.
You do it in your bulking phase or in your muscle mass gaining phase.
Because you really couldn't use it during season, is because like if you were, well, one of the things about wrestling is weight classes, and if you had to lose a little bit of weight to get down your weight class, you didn't want to be taking creatine because you don't want to get dehydrated on creatine. So you can't be cutting out all your water in your body and then taking creatine. That's what caused some of them college wrestlers to actually die. And that's why some rules got changed.
Well, that's what a lot of them do, right? They'll bulk up, and then after they're done bulking up, they'll go get them a thermogenic. They'll go hit that thermogenic, and then they'll let that thermogenic in their cardio, shred them down to whatever muscle mass or whatever, not muscle mass, whatever BMI they're trying to get to.
Which and to be honest, I didn't lift as much during season in season as anyway, because
I can't imagine. I don't know why you would, because if you're lifting, I mean, you might be doing some light lifting, but you're not going to do heavy lifting.
No. And it wasn't a whole lot of light. Well, my senior year wasn't a whole lot of light lifting going on, because most of my time when I wasn't at wrestling practice working on moves was managing my weight.
Right. And what I mean by that is, during season, you're probably doing more conditioning workouts than you are muscle mass building workouts. So that makes sense, right? I mean, you're going to eat a lot of protein. You probably got a 60-40 or 80-20 diet, and then you're putting your cardio in there with it. So, it's such a science, isn't it? The way the body works and the way these athletes work and things like that, it's such a science to get their bodies where they got to be.
Oh yeah.
And then as an athlete, you can't even really put half the stuff you want to put into your body, because half the stuff that you want to put into your body is most likely going to be banned by the NFL, NBA, MLB, or whatever, right? So,
yep. And
I would be interested to see
exactly like if you're like wrestling, for example, you lose all that. Say you lose 10 pounds in a week or whatever to get down your weight, and then that you make weight and you get off that scale. You got to be careful what you go put into your body before you go out and wrestle your first or second match that day. So you might not perform up to your level because your stomach could start hurting you, or you can run out of gas quick because of not having the right. So, it's like you said, it's a science, because it ain't like, you go make weight and you just eat whatever the hell you want and you go wrestle your first match. Yeah, you can do that, but chances are that first match you're probably going to look like shit.
Right. I think, honestly, if I was doing that, I would just tell my athletes, look, man, All I want you to do is take a lot of electrolytes in. You can get nowadays they got all these electrolytes in powder form. You can mix it in with your Gatorade. You can mix it in with your water. You can mix it in with your iced tea. I mean, you can mix it in with a lot of different things. So
what I would do, that's what I would do. I'd make weight, and then I had my Gatorade. I'd drink on it kind of slow. Don't want to go too fast.
Right.
And then I'd eat some, maybe an orange or eat some fruit, a little bit of fruit.
Right.
I'd wrestle.
Well, a lot of times,
though, my first match, and then then later on in the day, I'd eat more of what I wanted to, but what you eat after weigh-ins before you go out there and perform that first time, it can have a big effect on what you look like.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. If I was doing that, I would just tell my guys, "Hey, look, man, just get you a nice, gallon-sized thing of water, throw you some electrolytes in that thing, shake it up, drink that throughout the day, and then go get you some broccoli, some cauliflower, start shoving that down your throat, get some nice protein grilled in there, grilled salmon, chicken, whatever. You can make that on a reasonable budget. You can make that diet on a reasonable budget, and it's going to give you those clean carbs that you're looking for. But it's also going to keep that protein so you're not losing muscle mass. But then you got the electrolytes keeping you hydrated. And I think that's really what all you really need to do is just do that. And you're going to make your weight, or you're going to keep your weight. But like you said, you're going to feel amazing because I'm assuming you're getting good rest in there too, and you're going to be good to go for your match.
That could be one of the big things about wrestling is making weight and how you perform. How you perform after making that weight. I didn't cut a lot of weight. I mean, hell, my freshman year, dude, I was giving up weight. I weighed 92 pounds as a freshman, 92, 93 pounds as a freshman. Lowest weight class was 103. So I was giving up about 10 pounds to everybody I wrestled.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to shred down to 3, 4, 5% body fat. To me, that's so unrealistic unless you're in bodybuilding. The only ones that need to have, a body mass index below 10 are bodybuilders. And if you're not bodybuilding, you don't need to get down to that level, And especially if you're a football player, you do want a little bit of cushion for taking those hits.
And which now they put so many rules into place, like in wrestling and a lot of it was because of the guys dying on creatine years ago.
Right.
They make you take a body fat test at the beginning of the season, and you're only allowed to go down to a certain percentage. It'll tell you what weight class, what the lowest weight class you can wrestle is. So I mean, they've made rules on it now. Where back when in the day when I was wrestling, there wasn't no rules. You go whatever fucking weight class you wanted if you thought you could. You know what I mean? That was up to you and your coach, and if you could make it. Now it's. Are they strict? Are they as strict on the rules as they should be? No, but there is something in place to kind of protect some of the kids. You don't see as much. I mean, don't get me wrong. You still see some guys cutting a little bit of weight, but you don't see it's not as big, it's not as bad as it used to be.
I mean, even in the military, though, honestly, even in the military, we had to add weight, cut weight all the time. When you go for your body fat. The military is really big on body fat. So you do your physical conditioning, right? So you got to test, right? You got to do so many exercises, give you so many points, right? But then, usually it's before you do your PT test, they'll have you go in there and they'll have you do a height and weight. They'll take your height, they'll do your neck, your wet, your stomach area and things like that. And, yeah, it was crazy to watch people try to cut or lose weight. Some of them didn't really care, but yeah, it was interesting to watch that process actually work. And by the way, the only way you can truly get an actual body fat measurement that's accurate is by going into a submersion tank. That's really the best way to do it.
And I mean, dude, it's you don't see as much. I mean, you still see people cut, but not as much as it used to be. I mean, I had a buddy that played football, and he'd come in in the 170s, 175, 176, and he'd wrestle 152. He'd wrestle 152.
What the hell? That's 20 pounds over, though. They can do that.
But back then you could. Back then there wasn't no regulations or anything.
Oh, okay.
And don't get me wrong, he would naturally lose a little bit of weight just coming from football to wrestling because
Right.
it's different. But then the rest of it, he would have to. I mean, he would have to cut. And I don't think a lot of people realize all you're doing when you do that, all you're doing is getting all the water out of your body. You're getting rid of all the water in your body. You step on the scale, and as soon as you start drinking something, you're putting that weight right back on. It's not like the weight's going to stay off, but you're dehydrating yourself is what you're doing, and it can be dangerous, especially if you're doing too much. But oh yeah, I mean, I've seen some guys cut some weight. It's like
I'll tell you what, I gotta imagine that, if I was looking for an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, I would love those dudes that had wrestling backgrounds because then those are the guys that really know how to use their hands. That's really what that's really what the trench is wrestling moves, trying to keep the guy from there or trying to get to that guy.
You'll hear a lot of coaches say that they love getting wrestlers, especially like you said for lineman positions and stuff.
Oh yeah,
because you know how to control your body. You know how to. You know how to use your hands to control other people.
Right.
I know that some people aren't that kind of wrestling fans, but all wrestling basically it's a fight. It's a controlled fight. Is all it is. It's a controlled fight. I can't hit you. Other than that, I can pick you up, slam you, drop you on your head, do whatever the hell I want. But that's all it basically is a controlled fight.
Right. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Trust me, I do. And that's why I've always felt like those are two sports. I thought that, you could fuse them together because each one of those, obviously wrestling is going to help you out with football easily help you out with football. Especially like you said, if you're in the trenches, if you're an edge rusher or if you're a left tackle.
That's why I've never understood these high school football coaches telling their players you should only play one sport. No, you should play more than one sport because the other sports can help you in each sport.
I'll tell you right now, if I was an offensive lineman or if I was a defensive lineman, I would be in wrestling. You're damn real right. I'm going to be.
If I was a football coach, I'd be encouraging all my football players to wrestle.
Oh yeah, because I guarantee you that hey, what you learn at those wrestling classes is going to be beneficial when you're trying to get around the guy or prevent the guy from getting around you.
And cardio wise, dude, I'm telling you,
cardio is incredible. Yeah, it'd be incredible.
That work harder than wrestlers.
That would definitely keep you in shape come next season. There's no doubt about it. And seriously, think about it. If you were wrestling in the off season, you go back into new season in football. Could you imagine how much better in shape you're going to be once you get into camp?
Yeah.
It's going to be insane.
Like I ran cross country in high school. Did I run cross country because I like to run? Hell no. I ran cross country to get in shape for wrestling season. That was right after cross country.
Man, I tried doing cross country one time. It didn't work out too well for Jay.
Buddy of mine talked me into it. He was a junior when I was a freshman. He talked me into it. I ran it for freshman year and sophomore years. I didn't do it because I like doing it. I done it because to help be in shape when I went in the wrestling season. But then I got a job and I didn't do it my junior or senior years. I just wrestled. But Jay, let's get the final thoughts, brother. I got a show at 3 and I got another show at 4.
No worries. Final thoughts are, I really don't have any final thoughts, to be honest with you. My thought process it's a little limited today.
My final thoughts are join us here in about 10-15 minutes for Easy Money, a sports betting show. You can find it at ASAP Sports Network and at the Gonzo Sports Room channels. And also at 4 o'clock Eastern time, I have a shirt on right now. Jordan James, he's a stand up. You'll be able to see it. Jordan James, a professional wrestler. He's going to be on today at 4 o'clock. He was on about a year ago. Should be a great conversation. If you're a wrestling promoter and you haven't booked him for a show, you're making a big mistake. You definitely need to get Jordan James on your card. You won't be disappointed. But he'll be joining us at 4 o'clock today. So join us for that. Then tonight, 7 o'clock, we have unscripted. But tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we have pro wrestler out of Texas, T. Ray Watford. Will be joining us as well. So we got a couple big interviews coming up this week. Also have 2 big wrestling shows this weekend that will be live streaming. So got a busy week this week for the GSR crew, and then also on the All Sports All Plays network as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good. I think we're definitely in for an exciting week of podcasting, sports, and I think everything that's in between, man. And hey, for those updates, check out Unscripted on Twitter at Unscripted Guys, all one word. Unscripted Guys, all one word over there on Twitter. Frankie does a really good job posting those updates pretty damn quick. So check that out.
All social media for Gonzo's. All social media is at Gonzo Sports Room for us. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have a TikTok yet. I'm going to work on that eventually, but right now we got all other social medias. It's all at Gonzo Sports Room, or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Chris D Gonzalez. So I mean, it's easy to find us. We got a lot of stuff going on. We appreciate everybody joining us today for the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. On the ASAP Network, you'll have Easy Money, a sports betting show, starting here in about 15 minutes. It'll be the next show, and then right after that, will be the Jordan James interview. So join us for that. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.